Hey there, I'm Kathleen Jasper, and today we're going to talk about the difference between homogeneous or homogeneous grouping and heterogeneous grouping. You will see questions on your teacher certification exams, especially in the area of reading and language arts that touch on these topics, and I want to make sure you know the difference. Also, this will help you in your teaching practice because there are some do's and don'ts when grouping students. Let's get started. Homogeneous or homogeneous grouping and heterogeneous grouping are two practices in which we group students, and it all depends on the situation and how to use these effectively. You will see questions about this type of grouping practice on your certification exams, and even if it doesn't say these specific words, homogeneous or homogeneous and heterogeneous groups, the implication in a lot of questions is still there. And so if you understand the difference in these two practices, you'll be better prepared to answer these questions on your certification exam, and you'll be a better teacher. So in homogeneous grouping or in homogeneous grouping, every student in the group has the same skill level. You're grouping by skills. So let's say that you have a group of students who are not reading on grade level. You would group them together. Heterogeneous grouping is when we group students with mixed ability. So you'll have high performing, low performing students who can, read above grade level, on grade level, below grade level. And really, heterogeneous grouping is the way to go, because if you keep students in homogeneous groups for too long, it can lead to kind of static skill acquisition. When students are mixed together, based on their abilities, there tends to be a lot more learning that takes place. Now, that doesn't mean that we never use homogeneous grouping. We certainly do. When we want to differentiate instruction or we want to target certain skills for students, we most certainly would say, okay, I'm going to work with this 5 group of students on this specific skill, but we don't want to leave them in that group for too long. The research shows that when students are in heterogeneous groups, most of the time that they learn more, they acquire skills better, and students learn from each other a lot more. So let's hop over to my presentation so I can show you that now. Okay, so this is a test question that I wrote, but you'll see questions similar to this on your exams, depending on the exam. This could be on the PLT, this could be on the Praxis teaching reading, really any teacher certification exam might touch on this particular topic. Now, this is a large scenario question. You've got a big scenario up here and then a bunch of long answer choices. If you've seen my videos, I'm always going to work backward, and I'm going to read the answer choices first to find good words and eliminate bad words. All right, let's start with A. Place students in homogeneous groups for the 9-week grading period so the teacher can provide differentiation for the on-grade level students and intensive support for the below grade level students. Now, if you hadn't seen my presentation beforehand, or you're not a teacher and you don't understand homogeneous versus heterogeneous grouping, this might look like a good answer choice because it does have good words. You have the word differentiation, intensive support. These are good words typically on a teacher certification exam. However, here's the key. Putting them in homogeneous groups for 9 weeks, that's a long time to be in a homogeneous group. In my opinion, too long, and a lot of educational researchers would agree with that, because we don't want to keep students in homogeneous groups for that long. Temporarily, yes, but for 9 weeks, no. So even though it's got the good words in it, I'm going to cross this out because the practice itself is not best practice. Let's have a look at B. Use heterogeneous groups for most learning. Okay, I like that. While using homogeneous grouping temporarily, very good, when needed to scaffold instruction for struggling students. This is a good answer choice because for the most part, we're using heterogeneous groups or mixed ability groups, and we're only using homogeneous grouping when we need to really target or scaffold instruction for struggling students in any one area. So B looks good. Let's have a look at C. Allow students to choose what groups they feel most comfortable in and modify lessons accordingly. Now, if you're not a teacher, you might think, well, that's good. Student choice is good. Yeah, but have you ever stood in the front of a classroom and said, okay, guys, get into the groups of your choice? Oh my gosh, watch the chaos ensue. It is not a very good practice. The routine is not there. This is not a good answer choice. And modifying your lessons accordingly for that type of chaos is a recipe for disaster. I'm crossing this off. D. Use heterogeneous grouping exclusively. Now, this is what we call strong language in testing. If you have strong language in an answer choice, this is just a test strategy. Typically, not all the time, but typically it is the wrong answer. Words like only, solely, exclusively, unequivocally, those are very strong words and rarely are things one thing all the time, right? And so that stands out to me as a bad word. And using it exclusively so high-performing students can coach low-performing students. We do not want to place the onus on our high-performing students to coach our low-performing students. Does it happen in heterogeneous groups? Yes, and that's part of the magic. If you have a student struggling to pronounce a word or figure something out, another student who understands it might step in and say, hey, it's pronounced this way, or this is how you read the word. That's good stuff there. But we do not want to rely on our high-performing students to scaffold instruction for our low performers. That's our job as teachers. And so while this type of little mini coaching does take place in heterogeneous grouping, which is the good stuff, it's not what we want to rely on all the time exclusively. Our students might need some intensive supports, and our students are not equipped to do that. So D is out. Let's go ahead and read the question stem here so we can make sure that B is the correct answer. A sixth grade language arts teacher is working with students to increase comprehension skills. Many students comprehend grade level texts, but struggle a little with some literary elements. Other students do not comprehend grade level text and need support. Which of the following approaches would be most effective? You'll see that a lot in the questions in meeting the needs of all students. Well, in this case, yes, B would be the best answer because we are using heterogeneous grouping most of the time, but scaffolding and targeting instruction temporarily in homogeneous or homogeneous groups. So I hope that helped you today. Remember this in your teaching practice, and also when you take your teacher certification exams, it will definitely help you. Remember, homo in science means the same. Hetero means different. So we do use homogeneous grouping or homogeneous grouping when we need to target certain things, but we don't want to leave students there too long. We want to rely more on heterogeneous grouping, or students are together with mixed abilities, interests, and all of that. That works much better in the classroom. If you have any questions you'd like me to answer, go ahead and put them in the comments below. I hope this helps you on your certification exam and your journey in becoming a teacher. Thank you so much for watching today, and have an awesome day.